Hi, my name is Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Well, hello and welcome to Renovation Sportfish. This episode kicks off the 2018 projects. Not sure when this episode's coming out, but probably somewhere between Christmas and New Year's. So, hope everyone had a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever holidays you're celebrating, and Happy New Year, because I won't put one out between now and then. So, anyways, yeah, like I was saying, this starts the 2018 projects, and for 2018, I basically did 4 projects, and this one's going to cover one of the 4. Now, all 4 projects were kind of scattered around the year, but instead of presenting them as a timeline, I'm going to present them as individual projects, so there may be some overlap and things. And the reason why I'm kind of hanging out down here inside the cabin at the cabin sole is because the first project that we're going to cover, which in this video, is the finishing of this cabin sole. It's the main project. So with that, we'll start that. And I'd have to say, in 2018, I did start filming some things, basically with my iPhone. And so it's a little rocky and crazy, and I don't even know how much I'm going to use of it. But it's going to start a transition of me actually showing some videos of when I actually did some stuff. So I don't want to cut too much of it out. I want to kind of put it in there. So kind of bear with me. I did these, before I even thought I was going to be doing YouTube. It was just for my own record or whatever. And so I'm still going to show it, but maybe edit it up a little bit so it's not so rough. So yeah, the next 4 episodes or so are going to be kind of the same kind of formats. Okay, so before I could start doing the cabin sole and doing that, I had to remove a few things. Now you're looking at the finished product here, actually. But this is where the 30-gallon freshwater tank was. And my plan was to reuse that tank, but once I pulled it out, the bottom was all rusted, so I'm going to have to put a new tank in there. And you'll see why it was rusted when you see what was underneath it. And then in this area back here, there was all the piping for the freshwater system for the shower, sink, all that kind of stuff. And way in the back there was the sump for the shower. I'm going to put a new sump in the same basic general area. In here is still the outlet for the toilet for the overboard. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to have a tank, holding tank. I'm not going to go overboard with it. And because I'm not going to go 3 miles offshore very often. And then the inlet for the toilet water was in here. They use seawater. I'm going to use the fresh water from the tank. So that's still in there. Those have to be removed and fiberglassed over at some point. Once that stuff was out, then the other things to remove before I could remove the old sole was the galley that was behind me here. Now the galley was a little more involved because all the wiring is in the galley cabinet, or was. It won't be when I finished with it. But I had to remove all that. Document it before I can even remove the galley. And then I was able to remove the actual rotted out sole pieces. Today we're going to take care of the bilge. I took the old tank out and it's pretty nasty down there. You can see some old supports for the tank. They're just plywood, fiberglassed in, nothing protecting the end grain, so they're all rotted out. The bottom of the tank actually rotted because it was up against those and it retained moisture. I noticed that when I was loading it into the car. So anyways, today's work is going to involve getting rid of this black muck that's in here and possibly cutting out those supports that are no longer going to be needed, because I'll be putting a rectangular plastic tank in instead. So I got the initial cleaning done of the bilge area where the water tank is. It was not fun. It was pretty nasty. Probably at least a 1/4 inch of gunk everywhere. And you can see there's nails and all kinds of things embedded in this resin. I guess they just dropped stuff in and in the end just poured some resin in and everything got stuck where it was. You can see the little track there, and then the nail is actually on the other side of this. That's where it ended up. There's a nail right there in the tabbing, just sticking out. But anyways, it's not a final clean. It's just good enough so I can start removing these little support deals here. I'd like to get those out today if I can. Here's what I used. It's a gallon of acetone, a little extra large toothbrushy deal there, my little scraper, and some gloves. A lot of time and a lot of work. So anyways, on to the next task. Remove all of the supports for the water tank in the bilge. Cleaned it up a little bit, got rid of some of the excess tabbing that was there after I took that stuff off. Cleaned it up some more, and that should do it for now. I'll probably come back and clean it again. Okay, so all the old stuff was out, at least on this side of the boat, the starboard side. So it was time to put the new stuff in. Now, in the second video I think I made, from here forward, I had replaced the cabin sole. So we're just talking about from here back. Now, I used the same framing as the factory used. I used 2x4 Doug fir. It was all in good shape, so I decided to use the same thing. They nailed it together with same kind of nails you would have used back in the 70s to nail a house stud wall together with, except they were galvanized. I used 3/16 stainless screws to screw the framing members together and to screw the plywood down to the framing members. Plywood's all been epoxied, both sides, all the edges, before I put it in. That goes for all of the plywood around here. Now, in this area here, kind of where I'm at, this is where the galley was, sticking out. And you'll see in the framing that I went a little crazy with the framing in this area over here. Kind of ridiculous and a little embarrassing. But I did it that way so that I could screw the galley down into something solid besides a piece of 1/2-inch plywood. Since then, I've changed my mind. I'm not even going to put it here. I'm going to put it behind me over here, as you'll see at the end of this video. But it's in there. I'm just going to leave it there, yeah, it is what it is. The other thing, I also framed over here for a hatch. I was going to put the sump for the shower over here, but I decided not to do that. I'm going to put it back where it originally was. But I might be able to fit a really small heater or something in there for the hot water. I'm not sure. It's good to have a hatch there anyways, just to bring the hoses and things from the shower area, head area across, because this is kind of where everything kind of exits. Shower sump exits over here and whatnot. Another hatch you're going to see is this little access panel here. This is going to be under the settee. You're never going to see it, but it's to run the hoses from the freshwater tank that's located in the middle, the new one, as they come up here through where this tape is. This is the fill line here, and the vent line is going to be over here too. So that's why this is here. And there's a semi-permanent piece right here. It's about 12 inches long by about 2.5 feet wide, long that way. That I left it's removable at the moment because that's where the table's going to go, and the base, I may have to do something for the base or something. So I left that removable. Everything else is already permanently in. And so yeah, that's it. So we'll check that out. Then I put in the tabbing all along the edge here. I think I'm going to add 2 more layers of tabbing, fiberglass on this. It's 2 layers of 6-ounce fiberglass tape, and it seems a little thin, although it's doing what it needs to do over here. You're never walking over here, but it's, it's doing what it's doing. But I think I just want to beef it up a little, so you'll see that going on. But I'm probably going to beef that up a little bit at some point before I put anything else in here. So that's about it. So we can check all this stuff out as the airplanes go overhead. Framing done for the floor on the starboard side, the galley area. Actually here's the galley cabinet. Took all the electrical out tonight. Main breaker box for the AC power and breaker box for the DC, all the wiring. So that's underway. That's to be modified, so figured I'd do that now. Got some of the tabbing all cleaned up here, so when I put the new floor in, I can tab it right in with fiberglass. Go out on the cockpit here, and you can see a little stibble there. The new floor pieces for the galley area, and epoxy both sides, and ready to be do the initial install tomorrow. So we'll have some video on that. So. Doing pretty good here, and we'll keep on going. It's pretty cold outside, about 37 degrees. Feels like 27. I brought an extra heater. You can see it there, but every time I put it on, it kind of blows the fuse if I have 2 on at once. So I guess I'm gonna have to just make do with 1 today. That'll be all right. Yesterday I got that flooring in that you're seeing here. Got some cutouts over here for future plumbing. And there'll be there's kind of a second piece here the heater's sitting on. That's gonna have a hatch in it, but I'm not getting to that right now. It's not important. Today's first task is to try to get some cutouts in the frames here for the fill line and vent line for the water tank. And then once I get that figured out and finished, then I'll make a piece of flooring for in there, subflooring. Hopefully I can get it all done today and get that piece of flooring home tonight and get it epoxied on both sides this week, so we can get it in later in the week if the weather warms up like they say it's going to. But anyways, that's the task for today. So I finished putting the notches in the frames for the future hoses to the water tank, vent and fill line. These are just a couple pieces of hose I had that are the same size that will represent what the hoses will look like once they're actually in someday. But yeah, there we go. There's the tools I use, my drill, a little 2-inch hole cutting saw, my oscillating saw, to clean up things a little bit, and then my Dremel to just sand the rough edges down. But yeah, no, I'm probably going to move on and put some extra framing in, especially right over in this area where the plywood overhangs quite a bit from the hull over to that frame, so just to give it a little extra support. And then maybe something along the side of this hose here, so that I can put an access panel in there. So here we are. I finished putting in these extra pieces of framework. I put that little stub out there just to give the plywood a little extra support because it overhangs out there pretty much. It's going to be tabbed into the hull side there, but just to give it a little extra. It's not a place for you to walk or anything, but I'll just feel better about it. Then I added this little piece here. This is where I'll be able to put a little access panel on over that and be able to grab the hose when I kind of feed it through, because this will be all covered with plywood permanently. So I think I'm about done for today. Got all the plywood subfloor pieces made for this little area. You can see there's one there. That one will be kind of temporarily installed for now, because I have to get under there and mess around when I'm doing something around the water tank. But this piece will be permanently installed, and the settee goes over the top of it, so I like to put in the settee. And then I got this little piece here, if I can grab it, and that's my little access panel to get at the hoses, kind of pull them through, and then up in there. And then once I'm done, I'll just put it back down, and it'll be screwed in. But you won't even see it. It'll be underneath the settee, and probably gotta notch out the corner there eventually to get the hoses through there, but we'll figure that out later. So, going pretty good. I guess be back at it tomorrow. Maybe try to get that main bulkhead's floor support in. I didn't have a chance to do that today. Now I'll get into the cabin sole on the port side here that I redid. Now everything from where I'm sitting forward was done previously. You can check out episode 2 for that, I believe. And so it's basically from here back underneath. That's the head right there, and so it'll be inside the head as well. So we'll look at that now. 2019, soon to be 2020 update. This is the head wall, and that is the opening for the piping for the shower. And this will all be boxed in with a panel later on. And this is a patch piece I put in the wall before I installed it. I epoxied it together and used biscuits, and this is where one of the biscuits is. So did that before I installed the wall. And now we'll look over on the head side, because I really didn't take any pictures of this side after I installed the wall. But there it is. There's the patch piece. And you have a shower pan and an access hatch for the front of the engine. And yeah, it's a kind of a storeroom right now, but that's how it sits at the moment. Okay, so one of the things you saw me putting in is this panel right here. Now, the settee, the face of it is kind of in this area here, lines up with this wall. And this is actually to put the Blackwater tank in. Now, the Blackwater tank originally on this boat was back in the cockpit. And so there was quite a bit of hose going from the toilet back to the storage tank. I don't think it was a factory thing. But I don't even want to talk about removing that hose because it was pretty gross. But I'll pull this up and we can kind of get an idea of how this thing is going to work. So like I said, this will be underneath the settee. You'll never see it. But the actual, I don't have the actual holding tank I'm going to get yet. It's an 11-gallon tank. But I made this little mock-up here when I was putting all this together. And you're not going to see this now because I have to take all this inner shelving pieces here that hold the hatch on out to actually put this in. It doesn't fit in, but believe me, it'll slide down in once those are out, and it'll sit kind of right there below the sole here. And so in the top of it, right in this area, is where I'll have the inlet and outlet for it popping out. I'll have to cut some holes in the actual cover here, and the hoses will just come up like this and then go in the wall under here. This is where the settee base is, right here. So it'll all be below the base. There's plenty of room to bring hoses up and down and around and everything. And that's how that's going to work. So that's why this is here. Nice short runs of hoses, and hopefully it works out good. So that's it. Before we end this thing, we'll just show a few pictures of what we're going to kind of do with the galley over here. After much planning and trying to do different things, I'm not going to get into all of that because we'll talk way more about that when we get to installing the galley and the settees and all that over here. But here's a few pictures of what we're thinking about. Move the refrigerator over, and I'm going to put the sink in the corner, and the cooktop will be just below the window. So that's going to open up the whole area a lot more when you first walk in into the settee. It'll be easier to get into the settee. But anyways, just thought I'd share those before we close this out. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and you come back for the next one. So until then, have a good one, and we'll see you really soon right here on Renovation Sportfish.